Hello everyone, welcome to another one of my video presentation, this time for the subject Industrial Plant Engineering. So by the way, I am your instructor, your lecturer for this particular subject matter, Engineer Gerald S. Robles. So ano yung topic natin for today? So yung topic natin for today is about the so-called plant layout. So in this case, I will be discussing the various concepts, objectives, principles, as well as the different types of plant layout. So ano ba yung tinutukoy nating plant layout? Yung plant layout lang ba is just a mere optimization or maximization of available space? O meron ba tayong ibang mga factors or elements that needs to be considered? So what is a plant layout? A plant layout is considered to be a plan of optimum arrangement of facilities. So pag sinabi nating optimum, we're referring to an efficient, well-planned, well-conceived arrangement of facilities that includes the following elements or concepts. So, unahin naman natin yung personnel. So, pag sinabi natin personnel, we're referring to the proper working space so that the worker may work freely without any obstructions and then without any fear of getting involved in accidents with respect to the process or equipments or machines that he is actually working with. So second one is yung equipment. So pag sinabi natin equipment, we're referring to the proper mounting space. So proper mounting space as in yung corresponding distance between the equipment and then that of the worker and then the equipment and then that of the structure's walls. So third one is the storage space. So pag nabi natin storage space, we're referring to the storage of the raw materials, storage of the equipment or machine parts, as well as storage for the finished products. So fourth one na dapat natin consider dito is yung material handling equipment or material transport equipment such as forklifts, conveyor systems, and alike. Then last one, and all other supporting services. So pag sinabi natin supporting services, we may be referring to the comfort rooms, to the locker rooms, to the recreational facilities. So this along with the decision of using the best structure to contain all these facilities. So as can be seen, we have here a floor plan layout of a manufacturing plant for a meat processing industry. So with plant layout, the most critical element in any layout arrangement which is available floor space is properly utilized as equipments, storage space, workers, or personnel, etc. are located properly. So ano yung end result ito? This guarantees the work comfortability and then ensures that the products and or equipment are not damaged due to the proper working spaces involved. So in all, this would result in a well-efficient production process. So yung mga corresponding distances o mga dimensions ng layout natin to be considered are based on certain standards according to the country of origin. So sa case natin sa Pilipinas, most likely we are referred to the PSME or what we call the PME code. So another one, basahin ko slide natin dito, no? Plant layout is actually very complicated or very complex in nature because it involves the following concepts. So in this case, we have four following concepts. So first one is you have a concept of engineering. So engineering is taken into consideration because of the machines or equipments involved. So since these equipments or machines employ scientific processes, no? So engineering is also considered to guarantee the structural stability of the housing structure. So second factor is yung tinutukoy nating architecture. So ginagamit natin architecture mainly for aesthetics so that the layout would not be an eyesore and that this somehow contributes to the overall well-being of the worker or workers. So third one is yung tinutukoy natin economics. So economics plays a very critical role so that the investments could somehow be retrieved or recouped or recovered. So last one is you have the concept of business management. So kailangan natin ng business management because it plays a vital role in managing all the available resources for a sound business strategy. So in all, this would result into an efficient plant layout. So may comment tayo dito, no? It is actually much better to develop the layout and then build the building around it rather than to construct the building first and then try to fit the layout into it. So mas madali tayong makapag-build upan kung nandun yung mga corresponding spaces rather than build upon something kung saan meron tayong mga possible restrictions sa mga spaces. So, photo shows an aerial map or general plan layout for steel plant requiring large tracts of land. Large tracts of land, if not used properly, could be wasted, supposedly, if there are plans of expansion in the future. So, hindi magandang investment to, no? As it would somehow translate into huge cost. So, yung pag-acquire lang kasi natin ng large tracts of land is no laughing matter, as it usually involves hundreds of billions of pesos for acquisition alone. So, yung pagde-develop naman ng land is another matter and is even costlier. So, proper plant layout maximizes available resources. So, next slide natin, no? Photo shows an isometric view of an automobile assembly plant that makes use of a good plant layout despite limitations in space. Now, careful planning is needed and actually even takes years of studying and then planning by considering all the machines, equipment, storage spaces, worker facilities such as restrooms, canteens, cafeteria, and other auxiliary services. As the step-by-step processes are properly established, number of working personnel identified, along with their needs such as the canteen, restrooms, locker rooms, rest areas, etc., government regulations considered, it eventually leads to an effective plan layout. So ang tanong natin dito is, sino ba yung nagko-conduct ng planning? O sino yung nagsasagawa ng planning? So planning is done by well-versed and then well-experienced planners. So this may include the former worker. So these are former workers, former supervisor, or a former manager rising from the ranks that they know every bit of detail for a given industry. So this is done with extensive consultations to various stakeholders such as the workers while also working with government imposed standards or regulations. So what is the concept of a plant layout? So the concept of a plant layout may be described as follows. A plant layout is for effective utilization of facilities for the manufacture of product or products, involving a most efficient and then economical arrangement of machines, materials, personnel, storage space, and all supporting services within available floor space. So with proper observation of guidelines or requirements or standards, there would be an efficient or orderly utilization of space for all. So this from the workers to the workers' needs as well as equipment needs. So makikita natin sa illustration, let's say for example, meron tayong available floor space measuring 300 meters by 100 meters. So tingnan natin kung ano possibly pwede natin locate natin dito. So in this case, we could locate properly the said machines, locate properly the materials in the case of storage rooms or storage facilities. So then we could locate properly the personnel so that they may be able to work freely and then unobstructedly. And then, ayun nga, yung sinabi ko sa kanina, pwede natin locate yung storage space. So in this case, meron tayong makikita mga chilling rooms, refrigeration rooms, as well as cold rooms. Then last one, may locate natin properly yung mga supporting services. So what are the objectives or advantages of a plant layout? So isa-isahin natin yung mga possible advantages or objectives. So the following are the objectives or advantages of a plant layout. So first one, there is an efficient utilization of available workspace, labor, as well as equipment, thus it eventually allows ease of maintenance as well as high machine utilization. With proper working space, maintenance personnel could bring in the much needed tools or devices or equipments for repairs or maintenance and then be able to work effectively without worrying any restrictions in space, which is actually quite difficult to do, most especially if the maintenance tools on hand are actually bulky as well as heavy. So second one, streamline the flow of materials through the plant as work proceeds from one point to another without any delay. So this would eventually lead to an ease of supervision as well as control. So pag sinabi natin delay, we're referring to the so-called bottlenecks. So pag sinabi natin bottleneck, ito yung naiipon sa isang machine or isang process dahil nga sa possible delays. So streamline flow refers to the expediting or speeding up the pace. As the work proceeds properly, the possibility of having possible bottlenecks or accumulation of work or task on hand is thereby prevented. So this would lead to the simplification of job for supervisors and then managers in terms of supervision as well as control. So third advantage is that it provides enough flexible production capability or capacity. Again, this is due to the maximized working space, making the job of workers more comfortable, thus eventually leading to an increase in production capacity or output. So, sa mga klase ng plant layout, we have the so-called process layout, which provides the most flexible operation. So fourth one is that it reduces material handling cost. So with proper layout comes shorter and then easier to access routes, thus leading to reduction in expenses, leading to material handling. So dahil nga meron tayong efficient plant layout, na-identify natin yung shortest possible route. So in this case, it would result into reduced material handling cost. So, so fifth one is that it reduces hazards leading to a reduced number of accidents to personnel, thereby increasing employee morale as well as promoting safety and then health. Proper working space for workers essentially reduces the number of hazards, thus also reducing the risk or danger, thereby reducing the possibility of accidents taking place. Now, as accidents are reduced, it benefits the worker in the sense that his morale is boosted, thus promoting his overall well-being as a person. So, dapat natin tandaan, a happy worker demands less from management as compared to the other way around. So another one, for number 6, it keeps investment at a lower level with less equipment and then less structure or roof working space. So with the proper sequencing and then laying out of equipment established, it reduces the roofing area occupied by the equipment, thus keeping the cost or investments at a minimum. So dito naman tayo sa tinutukoy nating principles of plant layout. So ano ba yung mga corresponding principles that were actually used to establish a good plant layout? So first one is the principle of minimum movement. Materials and then labor should be moved over minimum distances, saving costs and then times of transportation and then material handling. As minimum movement also leads to less possible damage onto the final product. So, dapat natin tandaan, no? Less movement of materials involved also suggests that there is an efficient space utilization. Effective utilization of horizontal and then vertical working space reduces the cost or need for a roof or housing structure, thus leading to savings instead of cost. So, second one naman is principle of utilization. So, all available cubic space should be effectively be utilized. So, both horizontally as well as vertically. So, pag sinabi nating Horizontally, we're referring to the distance between the side of the equipment or that of the machine with respect to sa pinaka-wall ng pinaka-housing structure. Pag sinabi naman nating vertical distance, we're referring to the topmost part of the machine or equipment with respect to the roofing of the housing structure. So, third principle na kinoconsider natin dito is yung tinutukoy natin principle of flexibility. The layout should be flexible enough to be adaptable to changes possibly made or required by the expansion or technological development in the future. Proper layout not only maximizes the working space but also saves enough space for any changes in the future, possibly to accommodate a possible expansion. So, fourth one na ginagamit natin is yung tinutukoy natin principle of interdependence. Interdependent operations and then processes should be located in close proximity to one another. This to minimize the product travel as well as to provide ease of process as well as operation. Locating processes or equipments that depend on each other reduces material handling or travel cost while also keeping product damage due to movement at a minimum. So, fifth one, principle of overall integration. All the plant facilities as well as services should be fully be integrated into a single operating unit. So, this to minimize the cost of production, simplify monitoring of all processes or that of the machines, and above all, minimize material handling. Proper layout requires the need to identify the different processes that are needed. Now, once they are identified and then clustered or grouped accordingly, this will lead to reduction of costs in terms of production, monitoring, and other similar processes. So, next slide na tayo. No? So, sixth principle na dapat natin consider dito is the principle of safety. There should be an inbuilt provision in the design of the layout to provide for the comfort as well as safety of the workers. A worker safety should be the utmost or foremost concern about all. So again, we have standards to follow regarding the proper dimensioning of the plant layout to promote as well as ensure safety. So seventh principle na consider natin dito, tinutukoy natin principle of smooth flow. The layout should be so designed so as to reduce work bottlenecks and then facilitate uninterrupted flow of work throughout the plant. So in the end, this would eventually lead to simplification of the worker's task or work in hand. So in this case, the smooth flow of work due to proper layout reduces the possibility of work accumulations or bottlenecks, which is considered to be the advantage of the worker. So, seven principles, yung tinutukoy natin principle of economy. So, the layout should aim at improving economics by utilizing properly the fixed assets. So, fixed assets na tinutukoy natin dito, yung tinutukoy natin machines, the labor, resources, and again, the material handling. Now, in this case, there should be profit. If possible, more profit instead of accumulating costs and then expenses. So, earning a profit is actually the foremost reason on why such plant or company was established in the first place. So, ninth principle na consider natin is yung principle of supervision. A good layout facilitates or improves effective supervision over workers. A good plant layout makes the workers happy at their work. Thus, it actually makes it easier for higher ups or supervisors to take command and then lead the way. So, mas madali natin pasunurin yung mga workers o mga employees natin na masaya kumpara sa mga disgruntled o yung mga may mga samang loob ng mga workers. So, 10th principle is the principle of satisfaction. A good layout should boost up employee morale by providing them with maximum work satisfaction with less effort as well as movement. So, dapat lang natin tandaan dito is less effort or less movement reduces stress, thereby increasing job satisfaction. So, hindi mangusumi yung worker natin with very minimal movement. So, sunod na natin dito yung determinants of a good plant layout. So, ano ba yung nagdi-determine para maging effective yung tinutukoy nating plant layout. So the following are the determinants in choosing the type of plant layout to be used. So first one is yung tinutukoy nating factory building. The nature as well as the size of the building determines the floor space available for the type of layout. A product or line layout which is used in automobile assembly plants require a longer plant layout which cannot be compacted. On the other hand, meron pa tayong isa, no? A process layout or functional layout, a concept that is used by almost if not all machine shops, can have a compacted plant layout. So second determinant is yung tinutukoy nating nature of the product. Product layout is suitable for standardized products or goods, while process layout is for customized products or goods. A product layout makes use of a great number of specialized machines that perform a specific function. Thus, it is favorable to be used rather than making use of a process plant layout. So, third one is yung tinutukoy nating production process. Assembly line processes or industries prefer product layout while intermittent or non-frequent manufacturing processes prefer a process layout type. So, for determinant is yung tinutukoy nating type of machinery. So, special purpose types of machines are arranged as a product layout while general purpose machines are arranged as process layouts. So mas mahaba yung layout ng mga special purpose machines. So para yon sa product layout, tapos mas compacted or mas malapad yung tinutukoy nating process layouts involving the general purpose machines. So isang determinant din, no, para ma-determine natin yung klase ng plant layouts, yung tinutukoy nating repairs as well as maintenance. Machines or equipments must be arranged so as to promote easy movement of personnel or repairing technicians. So in this case, ang pinoconsider lang natin dito is there should be ample space para mag-move freely yung tinutukoy natin mga working personnel to be able to conduct repairs as well as maintenance. So, sixth determinant natin dito is yung workers' need. So, there must be adequate space that should be provided for the needs of the workers, such as available working space. So, this as per standards. So, hindi po pwede dito yung basta-basta meron na space para mapag-work ng properly. So, kinakailangan sumunod tayo sa mga proper working standards o proper standards. And worker facilities such as canteens, comfort rooms, dressing rooms, etc. So, yung mga facilities na to, meron tayong mga pinagbabasihan. So, kung di man natin ito makita sa tinutukoy natin PSME code or PME code, makikita naman natin to sa example sa mga architectural books. So, seventh and last determinant is yung tinutukoy nating plant environment. So, kinakailangan natin dito consider yung factors such as heat, noise, light, ventilation, and other aspects that should also be considered for the welfare, safety, and then health of all occupants or workers that of the inside. So kung heat ang pinag-uusapan natin, kinakailangan meron tayong proper ventilation. So kinakailangan hindi masyadong compact. So kinakailangan yung ceiling natin hindi masyadong mababa. So pag sinabi naman nating noise, pwede tayong gumamit ng acoustical ceiling boards para mabawasan natin incidence ng noise. Sa light naman, kinakailangan meron tayong proper number of lighting fixtures. So, tama dapat yung bilang ng mga ilaw natin. So, what are the characteristics of a good as well as poor plant layout? So isa-isahin natin yung mga good as well as poor characteristics ng isang plant layout. So, the following are characteristics of a good and then poorly planned layout plan. So, first one, unahin muna natin yung good layout. It is characterized by compactness. So, not too spacious and then not too narrow space. So, another one is yung comfort characteristic. So, workers should be able to move and then work properly with very minimal movement. So, third characteristic is kinakailangan safe o yung concept ng safety. Hazards should be kept at a minimum to promote safety. So, as much as possible, kinakailangan hindi masyadong narrow space. So, kinakailangan medyo spacious. pero hindi masyadong maluwag para hindi naman masyadong masayang yung tinutukoy nating working space o yung space. So, fourth one is efficiency. So, plant product output, which translates into gains or profits, should be much greater than the losses incurred in terms of the accident, work stoppage, product damage, etc. Then last one, yung ito yung pinaka-importante, no? Lalo sa mga investors is yung profits or earnings derived, rather, no? The investor should have a good return of investment or earnings. So, sunodin natin yung characteristics ng isang poor layout. So, kabaliktaran lang na ito usually nung nasa good layout. So, first one, there is congestion. So, narrow o too compact space kung saan yung mga workers natin are finding it difficult to move or work freely. So, second characteristic is frustration. So, with poor layout, there is this possibility of narrow working space which leads to the frustration of the workers. So, mas madaling mainis yung isang tao kung hindi siya mapag-move properly. The third one is accidents or damages. As the workers are not able to work properly, it leads to increased chances of accidents taking place or increased chances of material or product damage. So fourth one, kabaliktaran ng efficiency is efficiency. So in this case, yung losses natin are much greater than the outputs or profits. Then last one is lower profit or more losses. With the possibility of product damage, work stoppage taking place, yung probability of deriving a lower profit or more losses actually takes place. So next slide natin, no? What are the types of a plant layout? So the following are the types of plant layout. So first one, you have the so-called plant layout. So product layout pala, no? Product layout. So the product layout is also known as what we call a line layout. So bakit siya tinatawag na line layout? Kasi more or less, yung structure natin o yung form natin dito ng pagkaka-layout niya resembles that of a straight line. Here, the machines are arranged in a straight line and is recommended for volume production of standardized goods. So in this case, sa makikita natin sa configuration, meron tayo ditong assembly plant ng isang automobile factory. Such layout makes use of special purpose machine, and then so the special purpose machines and then auxiliary services are arranged according to the processing sequence of the product. The raw materials are fed at one end and then taken out as finished products on the other end. So in the end, overall, lumalabas, it resembles a straight line. So downside lang natin dito sa tinutukoy nating line layout, otherwise known as product layout, is that it leads to a lengthy or longer plant layout versus the other layouts. So examples of industries making use of a product layout. So in this case, we have an automobile assembly plants, self-supporting cafeterias or self-service cafeterias, paper mill plants, kitchen cabinet assembly plants, then last one, loan application process. So kung makikita natin ito, no, it is characterized by a straight line assembly process. So advantages of a product plant layout, basahin ko na lang, no? One, there is reduced material handling cost as the flow of the product will be smooth and then logical. So pag sinabi natin logical, it is straight in terms of load lines. There is perfect line balancing, as in there is steady flow as well as outflow of the products involved. So eventually, it would lead to the elimination of bottlenecks and then idle capacity. So dire-diretso lang yung process natin. Third one, there is short manufacturing cycle. So, bakit maikli lang yung manufacturing process natin? Kasi wala tayong interruptions as in the case of bottlenecks. So, fourth one, there is simplified production, planning, and then control systems, and then effective inspection of work are possible. So, simplified production tayo dito, no? So, kahit gumagamit tayo ng mga special purpose machine, the production is actually simplified. Yun yung pinaka main or overall goal natin, no? So in this case, mas madali tayo mag-inspect ng mga possible works. So fifth one, there's less space occupied by the work in transit. So less space occupied by the work in transit. However, maliit na yung space na inoccupy ng work na gumagalaw. However, mas maraming space na inoccupy yung mga special purpose machines natin kasi mas marami sila. Instead, nagagamit tayo na tinutukoy natin general purpose machines. So, sixth one, small amount of work in progress inventory is the work process only through a single line or flow. So, mas madaling i-monitor or mag-conduct ng inventory dito, no? Kasi isang straight line lang yung kinakailangan natin bantayan. So, another one is that tracing defects or responsibility or accountability of the finished product is actually way easier. So, again, since straight yung process natin, mas madali siyang i-monitor. So, eventually, mas madaling i-assess kung saan nagkaroon ng fault or deficiency. So, eighth one is that there is lesser wage cost with less workers. However, ang disadvantage dito, kakaunti nga lang yung workers natin kasi gumagamit tayo ng special purpose machine. However, ang disadvantage naman natin dito is there is more expenses in terms of the equipments or materials, in terms of the special purpose machines being used. So, another one, advantage dito is that kakaunti lang daw yung pinapasahod with less workers. Also, the workers can easily manage or learn the whole process due to the simple setup of the involved process. So, doon naman tayo sa disadvantages na tinutukoy natin product plant layout. So, first one, there is lack of flexibility as the layout cannot be adapted to the manufacture of any other types of product. So, ginagamit lang natin yung product plant layout for standardized goods. So, yun din yung reason kung bakit gumagamit tayo ng specialized special purpose machine kung saan meron talaga silang specific output. So, alterations may require major revisions in the layout. So, kung let's say for example, magko-conduct tayo na possible expansions in the future, hindi masyado advisable yung tinutukoy natin product plant layout kasi less flexible. So second one, dahil gumagamit tayo ng special purpose machine, there is large investment capital. Because of the special purpose machines used instead of using general purpose machines. So mas mahal yung special purpose machines as compared to using general purpose machines. So third one, there is dependence of the whole activity on each part or process or machine in that the breakdown of one machine in the sequence may result in the stoppage of the product or that of the whole process. So since nagre-rely tayo solely doon sa tinutukoy natin special purpose machines, once na let's say for example masira o mag-falter, magkaroon ng defect yung tinutukoy natin special purpose machine, yung whole operation natin is actually being affected. So fourth one, sa system daw na to, yung labor cost is actually high because of first one, absenteeism. So, yung absenteeism o hindi pumapasok ng worker natin may create certain problems as in the worker is not easily replaced by other workers because every worker is a specialist in his work or machine that is actually being operated. So, isang nating problema dito is yung tinutukoy nating monotony. So, yung nagsasawa sa work na gagawa kasi yun at yun pa rin yung ginagawa niya. From start to finish during the whole day, during the week, or during the month, or during the year. So, monotony is another problem with the workers as workers tend to feel bored, affecting their quality of work. So, last one, ito yung isang problema dito, no? Workers have no opportunity to demonstrate their talent as work machines play the dominant role in production. So in this case, hindi may papakita yung pinaka-talent o yung pinaka-skill ng pinaka-workers natin. So again, nagre-rely tayo solely or mainly on the use of special purpose machine. Saan ito mismo yung nagbubay ng general work. So fifth one is that it is difficult to implement an individual incentive-based scheme as the entire production is the result of the joint efforts of all operations in the single line. So, ito yung pinaka-main problem natin dito, no? The breakdown of one machine interrupts the entire production flow. So, in this case, kakaroon tayo ng total work stoppage. Supposedly, merong mag-breakdown ng isang machine. So, sunod na natin yung tinutukoy nating process layout, also known as what we call functional layout. So, it's recommended for a batch production of customized goods. So here, all machines performing similar type of operations are grouped at one location. Thus, the possibility of backtracking in the process. So in this case, ito yung tinutukoy natin process na kung saan hindi mahaba pero compact o mas malapad. So, it is characterized by backtracking o nagkakaroon tayo dito ng bottlenecks, So, as in, let's say for example, galing kayo dito, let's say for example, meron tayong late machine na ginamit previously, pwede tayong bumalik dito sa late machine na to, performing a different set of operation or different kind of finish. So, it is normally used when the production volume is not sufficient to justify a product layout. So, ano yung advantages of such layout? So, ito yung tinutukoy natin process plant layout. So, kung kanina, sa tinutukoy natin yung product plant layout, there is no flexibility. Ito naman, nag-allow siya ng flexibility. So, there is greater flexibility having the ability to adapt to frequent changes as in sequence of operations. However, kung kanina, sa product plant layout natin, meron tayong fixed rate capacity, meron tayong actual output. Dito, there's no fixed rate capacity. Output may be increased or may be decreased. So, depende ito kung masipag o talagang skillful yung tinutukoy nating worker. Yun yung pinaka-disadvantage niya. So, another one is dahil gumagamit tayo ng general purpose machines instead of making use of special purpose machines, there is lower investment. So, another one, there is a higher utilization of the production facilities. So, unlike sa product plant layout, minsan lang dumadaan yung work natin. So, upon processing, nilipat siya doon sa another process o another equipment. Dito, higher utilization of the production facilities which can be adapted to a variety of products. Also, there's better product quality because of because the supervisors and then workers attend to one type of machine or operation. So, pwede natin pagandahin or in this case, wag naman, papangitin yung mismong pinaka-output natin. So, sabi dito, there's higher utilization of the production facilities. Gaya nga sinabi ko sa inyo, pwedeng maulit yung operation ng isang single machine. So, pwedeng dumaan siya once, pwede siya dumaan twice, or even thrice. So, fourth one, the diversity as well as variety of jobs makes the work challenging and then interesting. So, in this case, hindi makakatulong yung worker natin, kasi nandoon sa kanyang performance yung pinaka characteristic ng ating pinaka-final product. So, fifth one is that breakdown of one machine does not result in complete stoppage of the work. So, ito yung kagandahan niya. So, hindi totally nagkakaroon ng paralyzation. So, supposedly, masira yung equipment natin. Although, magkakaroon lang tayong slight delays. Also, workers in one section is not affected by the nature of operations carried out in another section. So, let's say, for example, a late operation does not get affected by the risk of welding as the two sections are quite separate. So, sixth one, supervisors will become highly knowledgeable about the functions about their department since the flow process is more complex than that of the product layout. So, mas matututo dito yung tinutukoy nating supervisors, which is actually an advantage para ma-boost nila yung kanilang resume. So, doon naman tayo sa mga corresponding disadvantages. So, for the disadvantages, automatic material handling such as conveyor systems is extremely difficult because fixed material handling equipment like conveyor systems cannot be used. So, ang problema natin dito, unlike sa tinutukoy nating product plant layout, sa product plant layout kasi generally straight. So, ibig sabihin, na-identify natin yung pinaka-open, yung pinaka-start as well as yung finishing end. So, in this case, since ando yung possibility ng backtracking o pabalik-balik na sistema, it would prove to be difficult supposedly kung maglalagay tayo ng isang conveyor system. So, second one is completion of the same product takes more time. This as the products tend to go back to previous processing sections as in backtracking. So it tends to consume more time. So flow path is not a straight line as compared to a product plant layout. So third one, raw materials travel longer distances before being fully processed. So this results into increased material handling or lower material handling efficiency, again with the possibility of backtracking taking place within the process. So as such layout highlights the output of the single worker and not the group of the workers. Ito yung para dito sa number 4, no? It is not possible to implement the group incentive scheme. Kasi nga lumalabas na highlight yung effort ng single worker natin dito as compared to the effort of the whole group. So, fifth one naman natin, no? Discuss ko yung fifth one. So fifth one natin, no, requires more floor space than the product layout because a distinct department has to be established for its operation. As such, there is low utilization of space with a greater need for production planning and then control with a greater number of machines involved. So sa ang product layout makes use of the so-called specialized machines. So specialized machines capable of performing more than one specific function as compared to making use of a general purpose machine which is simply limited to one specific purpose or one specific ability. So in this case, mas kakaunti yung general purpose machine, mas kakaunti yung tinutukoy natin specialist purpose machine. So, mas kakaunti yung floor space. Unlike din sa product layout, so since gumagamit tayo ng general purpose machines kung saan medyo kakaunti yung kanyang capability, lumalabas, mas marami yung kanyang tipo. Mas maraming general purpose machines yung kinakailangan din consider. Thus, it requires more floor space. So, 6.1, cost of supervision is a bit high since production relies on a greater number of non-specialized machines requiring better judgment. So, since a process layout requires the skills of operator or workers, so too is expected of the supervisor. There is a greater cost of supervision. Hiring just a plain supervisor is not enough. Rather, a skillful, well-experienced supervisor is actually necessary. So in this case, since hindi tayo nagre-rely sa mga special purpose machine, so kinakailangan meron tayong guidance na tinutukoy natin mga supervisors para may tama o maging maganda yung output. So seventh one, there is additional labor cost with less mechanization or use of machines that of using general purpose machines. So mas maraming labor dito as compared doon sa tinutukoy nating process layout. So 8.1, production planning and then control is difficult with wider coverage of area and then greater number of machines involved. So again, as compared to a process layout, sa process layout, kakaunti yung machines kasi gumagamit tayo ng special purpose machines. So, mas madali yung planning doon as well as yung control. Unlike dito sa tinutukoy natin product layout, mas maraming general purpose machines, mas complicated yung planning as well as yung corresponding control is actually quite difficult. So, ninth one is that as the worker tends to pass through more different departments, it is quite difficult to trace the responsibility or accountability of the finished product. So, unlike doon sa tinutukoy natin yung process layout, sa process layout kasi generally straight yung flow natin. Dito, pabalik-balik. So, in this case, mahirap talagang hanapin kung sino yung merong fault unless magko-conduct tayo ng deeper investigation. So, third kind of layout yung tinutukoy nating combination layout. So, ang combination layout is considered to be a hybrid layout. So, as the name implies, this is actually a combination between two kinds of layout, that of the process layout as well as the product layout. So, rarely do plants layout either in product or process layout form. So, specifically, most of the plants either make use of a combination or hybrid layout. So this one combines the flexibility of a process layout as well as the efficiency of a product layout. So Saan ginagamit to? They are used in manufacturing processes that produce products in repeated numbers. However, they differ in type as well as corresponding size. So, let's have example sa pagmamanufacture mga wood saws kung saan from coarse to fine, ganun din sa iron files and the like. So another one is you have the so-called fixed position layout, otherwise known as the stationary layout. So here the labor or materials or resources as well as the machines are brought to the project site until the completion of the final product or project. So anong problema? Bakit kinakailangan dalhin yung mga ginagamit natin sa pag-assemble? Instead, igalaw natin yung pinaka-product itself. So ang problema natin dito is mahirap igalaw mismo yung tinutukoy natin products that are to be assembled or to be processed. So, such examples natin dito, we have shipbuilding, aircraft manufacturing, then construction of dams, bridges. So, these are typical examples of such layout. So, a hospital, the operating room in particular is also an example of a fixed position layout. So, yun So, ano yung reason kung bakit nga pala lumalabas na tawag dito, lumalabas na ginagalaw natin yung product that is to be processed rather than yung mga equipments or machines that are used to assemble or to produce such product. So for one, aside from medyo mabigat o malaki yung bubuoy natin product, lumalabas, yun nga, mabigat. Yan, no? So next slide tayo. Examples of industries making use of a fixed position layout. So we have here ship manufacturing, bridge construction, dam construction, and then aerospace manufacturing. So in all possible cases, it is actually quite difficult to move the said product that is to be assembled. So in this case, ang ginagalaw natin dito is yung mga machines or equipments. So in that case, na malabas, ano yung possibility na wala nga damage doon sa tinutukoy nating there is lesser probability na magkaroon ng damage doon sa binubuo nating product, rather, karoon naman tayo ng damage doon sa mga ginagamit nating equipments or machines. Advantages of a fixed position plant layout. So number one, there is less material or product movement. Eventually, nababawasan to yung probability na magkaroon ng damage yung tinutukoy nating finished products due to material handling. So, the high cost and then difficulty of transporting a bulky and then heavy product are avoided. Kasi nga, lumalabas, hindi mismo yung final product o yung product yung gagalaw natin. Rather, yung mga ginagamit natin sa pagbuo ng product, yun yung kinakailangan ilaw. So, can accommodate changes on the product within the site due to the spacious environment without much restriction. So, isang characteristic ng tinutukoy nating fixed position layout is that it involves an enormous space para magawa natin yung mga finished products natin. Such as nga yung kanina, yung mga planes, mga ships, etc. So fourth one, it provides a greater opportunity for job enrichment in terms of experience and the knowledge as other works taking place simultaneously can be observed or viewed. So in this case, although nag-work tayo o nag-work yung worker sa kanyang specific task, dahil nga medyo malapit or in close proximity yung other works doon na nagtitake place sa ibang section, ano yung possibility matuto din yung worker natin by merely observing. So ano yung mga disadvantages ng isang fixed position plant layout? So one, they're not suitable for small products. Another one, the product cannot be moved unless it is actually finished completely. So, yun nga sinabi ko sa inyo, sample products na ginagawa dito, sinutukoy natin ships, planes, etc. So, disadvantage natin dito is that, another one is that there is greater floor space or storage space is required. So, in terms of land acquisition, medyo costly to. So, kinakailangan large tracts of land yung kinakailangan natin gamitin o bilhin. So, equipment movement is increased with this particular setup. So, thus there is probability na magkaroon ng damage yung mismo equipment. So, in this case, it requires highly skilled workers for the nature of jobs associated. Planning or scheduling is more than doubled compared to the others due to the nature as well as size of the works involved. This as other works are also happening at the same time. Then, yung possibility of accidents taking place is a bit high as there is possibility of confusion taking place with simultaneous works going on. So last of the possible types of plant layout, we have the so-called group layout or what we call cellular layout. Here, the machines are grouped accordingly to the process requirements for a set of similar items as part families called cells kasi tinatawag na cellular layout. This requires similar processing. So such layout is suitable for large variety of products in small volume. So, yun nga, yung pagbubuo ng mga cellular phones is a prime example. So, variety of products in small volumes. So, advantages naman natin, advantages of a group plant layout, there is reduced cost as cellular manufacturing provides for faster processing time as well as less material handling as the cells are arranged in relation or in close proximity with respect to one another. Also, there is less work in process inventory and then reduced setup time, all of which eventually reduce cost or expenditure. So, itong klase ng plant layout natin, which is what we call the group plant layout, offers great flexibility in that cellular manufacturing allows for the production of small batches, which provides some degree of increased flexibility. So, third one, it increases motivation since the workers are cross-trained to run every machine in the cell. So, boredom o yung mababato sa isang work or sa task given is less of a factor. So, it is easier to monitor as in finding fault or accountability for the defective product. Other one is there is better use of human resources and then easier to control as well as easier to automate. Doon naman tayo sa disadvantages. So, disadvantages natin ng tinutukoy nating group plant layout. The cells are poorly balanced in that there are certain cells that require more work and then critical judgment as compared to the other types of layout. Like a product layout, it requires more space to accommodate all the other cells. So for the references, I'll refer to the list provided. So yun lang po. Thank you for listening.